I'm not living a life. I feel like I'm this monster.
I know I'm running out of time.
Just so anxious. Looking at myself, all I see is a fat glob.
Have you ever watched a journey so moving that it seems almost cinematic? That was the case with Destiny Lachey. But let me tell you, there's much more to Destiny's story than just their pioneering role as the first transgender person on the show. Imagine beginning your life-changing journey at 27 years old and weighing 6 and 68 pounds. Now that's a starting line that promises an emotional roller coaster.
Every single day of my life is hard. Because every day I feel like I'm dying. And every day I'm becoming more and more helpless.
When I wake up in the morning, I'm in so much pain and I can't move right. I feel stiff.
And it's getting worse to where I can handle less and less each day. And I'm struggling to walk now.
Destiny wasn't just dealing with physical challenges, the emotional burdens were just as heavy. From coming out as gay and later as transgender to dealing with severe mental health struggles, Destiny's life was a battle on multiple fronts. It's tough, right? But what struck me most was Destiny's resilience. Their initial success in losing weight was jaw-dropping, yet it highlights how the most challenging battles often lurk after the victory lap. Keeping off the weight? That proved to be a challenge that would test anyone's mettle.
I called everybody and I explained to them, I'm not hiding no more. I want to be who I want to be. I'm gay and I just, hope that I can have y'all approval.
But I was living in a small town, and being gay wasn't something that was accepted. So I feel like it almost completely isolated me from everyone in my life. People who I thought cared about me talked about me and shamed me for what I am. And it hurt me a lot. So I got really depressed.
And I have not yet been happy since that day.
Now let's talk about Dr. Now. If you're a fan of the show, you know he's not one to mince words. Under his guidance, Destiny underwent gastric sleeve surgery, a crucial step in their weight loss journey. But following Dr. Now's strict diet was no walk in the park. It was like sticking to a budget in a candy store. Temptations lurking around every corner. This part of the journey really made me think about the discipline and dedication needed to revolutionize one's relationship with food. It's a Herculean task.
And if you do that and you want to do this program, then I'll approve you for weight loss surgery.
Okay.
And we're going to start you on psychotherapy. Because if you know there are a lot of emotional issues behind your pathological overeating, then a big priority will be that we need to get your emotional issue under control.
Okay.
Because weight loss surgery is not going to be helpful if you still got emotionally driven to food.
Yes, sir.
Despite the struggles, Destiny's turning point came about 5 months into their new routine. Imagine climbing Everest in terms of effort. That's how daunting it was. But the inspiration from Dr. Now's unyielding stance and realizing what was at stake made all the difference. This is where I drop a truth bomb. It's all about doubling down on your efforts when things get tough, isn't it?
And part of that was getting more comfortable with my body. Because one of my fears, if I lose the weight, is losing my curves and my breasts. So to get more in touch with my body and femininity, I decided to take a burlesque dancing class. It's something I always wanted to do. And I feel like I'm active enough to handle it now. So I'm really excited about doing this. I just hope I can keep up and that I don't get winded too quick.
Hello.
By the end of their episode, Destiny had shed a whopping 229 pounds, tipping the scales at 440 pounds. And guess what? The journey didn't stop there.
Because I didn't just work hard this time, I've worked hard this entire time. And I finally feel that was recognized today. This makes me feel really good. So even if I have to wait 2 more months and lose more weight to get it, I know I can because I've made it this far. So I have no doubt I'm gonna do this. And when I show up for my surgery, that I'm gonna be where I need.
By the year's end, Destiny's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Losing 229 pounds not only reshaped their body, but also reignited their spirit. This story doesn't just highlight the harsh realities of obesity, but sparkles with hope and the promise of redemption. It's a powerful reminder of what's possible with determination and the right support. The hard truth? Obesity is a tough enemy, but with the right arsenal, victories can be won.
Because I didn't just work hard this time, I've worked hard this entire time. And I finally feel that was recognized today. This makes me feel really good. So even if I have to wait 2 more months and lose more weight to get it, I know I can because I've made it this far. So I have no doubt I'm gonna do this. And when I show up for my surgery, that I'm gonna be where I need.
Unfortunately, not every story has a happy ending. Tragedy struck when Destiny passed away in 2022. In their final Instagram post, they shared a series of photos wearing a dress, showcasing their incredible weight loss, captioned, "Gracefully broken." This phrase really got to me. It's a stark reminder of how complex and challenging life can be, even in moments of triumph. With over 500 pounds lost since their episode, Destiny's journey reminds us of the fierce battle against personal demons and societal pressures.
It may sound silly, but losing the ability to provide for myself was a huge blow when I could no longer work because of my size. So to be able to do this feels wonderful. Okay, I got an order. Some of the other things I want to do take a little more time because ultimately I want to meet someone and start a family.
Picture this. At 40 years old and tipping the scales at over 607 pounds, Bethany wasn't just battling her weight. She was grappling with feeling like she wasn't pulling her weight in the family. "I feel like I'm not a contributing member of the family," she admitted during her episode. Wow, that's a heavy statement, isn't it? It really hits you right in the feels.
And I have sores all over my body because of how my skin breaks down and how the folds chafe when I move around. But I can't just take it easy and do nothing all day, no matter the reason, because I'm a mom of 2 kids. Isabella's my oldest. She's 18.
Now, let's unpack this a bit. Bethany's struggles with food began at an incredibly young age. I mean, food became her comfort, her escape hatch from reality when she was just 5 years old. Can you imagine? That's when most of us were just figuring out our favorite ice cream flavors, not seeking solace from life's harsh realities. And it wasn't just about dealing with overeating. She endured some horrifying trauma from a family friend that lasted until she was 13. It's one of those things that make you think no one should ever have to write this chapter of their life.
I would just want to get everything and stay there forever because food is my happy place. And there's no better feeling than being around it and eating it. And if I could, I would even trade sleep for food. And there's never a moment in my life or ever in my day where I'm ready to stop eating. So I have to always have it.
As Bethany grew older, her health issues started piling up like unread emails. Diabetes, hypertension, and PCOS were just the start. Parts of her stomach were nerve damaged, which just threw another wrench into her battle with weight. It's like life looked at her and said, "Hey, I think you need some more challenges." And honestly, that's just unfair.
And that was the first time I remember having that feeling where I had to have something to take that pain away. And food did that. So I started putting on a lot of weight and was up close to 300 pounds by the time I was 13. All I felt like I had was food, so I felt really lonely during that time. But as I got into high school, I started making friends.
Enter Dr. Now, the straight-talking surgeon. We all know and have mixed feelings about. When Bethany first met him, she was in a tough spot, sleeping more than 16 hours a day with a diet that would make a nutritionist cry. Ramen, noodles, and cheese, burgers for breakfast. Anyone? Dr. Now's game plan? Let's cut down that sleep to 8 hours and have you see Dr. Paradise for some good old psychotherapy. I mean, if your name is Dr. Paradise, you better be good at what you do.
Me and Sheldon are back in Houston for my next appointment. And this second drive down was almost as hard as the first time. So I'm in a lot of pain and I'm miserable right now.
Bethany?
But I'm really nervous to be back here and find out what progress I made. Dr. Now said I can't get surgery unless I hit the weight loss goal he gave me.
Dr. Paradise recommended journaling as a way for Bethany to process her traumas. Honestly, that's solid advice for anyone. Getting those swirling thoughts out on paper can sometimes feel like opening the pressure valve on a steaming hot pot. But the question hanging in the air was thicker than a foggy morning. Could this strategy really lead to a lasting change for Bethany?
And I know I've stayed within the 1,200 calories, and I'm doing what I should, even though it's hard, but I haven't cheated or I've stuck to it completely for the last couple of months.
That all sounds great. But if that were accurate, you would have lost a lot more than you did over the past 2 months. So you're either still overeating with your meals or snacking all day or both. And you're still not in control like you need to be.
During her 8-month stint with Dr. Now, Bethany actually knocked our socks off by dropping over 100 pounds. But hold the applause. Life, as it loves to do, threw some curveballs her way. After a relapse that saw her weight creep back over 500 pounds despite having bariatric surgery, Bethany pulled back from the program. She felt beaten down, thinking she could never beat her food addiction. In moments like these, you just want to reach out through the screen and give her a pep talk, right?
She doesn't continue to do what she needs to address the core issues behind her pathological eating. She can very easily start to stretch her stomach back out by pushing herself to overeat. But we have given her a very important tool to help her out. And what she does with it from here is all up to her.
But Bethany, being the fighter she is, didn't throw in the towel just yet. She showed up at her second checkup having lost some weight and was set up with a new challenge by Dr. Now: lose 80 pounds in 2 months. Talk about a tough homework assignment. By her next visit, she had dropped to 526 pounds, making her surgery eligible. You go, girl!
I'm still struggling with some cravings, but that doesn't mean I've gone off the diet. The only thing I'm worried that Dr. Now is going to have an issue with is that I didn't end up making it to psychotherapy like he wanted, because I didn't feel like I could stay in Houston for longer.
Just when we thought Bethany was on the express train to Successville, fate played a dirty trick. She vanished for 7 months, missing crucial checkups, and when she finally popped back up, she was back at 579 pounds. It's like taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, isn't it? This setback meant she no longer qualified for the weight loss surgery she'd worked so hard for.
And I'm sad and lonely and scared, and I just want to get past feeling all of that. It just doesn't seem fair. What's making it even harder now is that I feel like I'm surrounded by a lot of things that I can't have and that are tempting me every day. It's just that in the beginning, my whole family was pulling for me and helping me to do the diet. And they still...
Bethany's journey didn't wrap up with a neat little bow. She left the show on a bit of a sad note, criticizing how she was portrayed and vowing to keep on her weight loss path. Her story is a testament to the messy, non-linear path of true, personal transformation. It's a powerful reminder to all of us about the resilience of the human spirit. Bethany Stout's journey on the show is more than a story about losing pounds. It's about the weight of emotional burdens, the struggle for self-acceptance, and the relentless pursuit of personal happiness. It's messy, it's real, and it's life.
And that's very good. But the bad news is that she's still gaining because she's falling back into old habits and trying to use food to cope to deal with her emotions. So we have more time to try to get Bethany back on track. But the only thing that's going to get her to that point and help her do that is psychotherapy, because she has to start to work on those issues and coping in healthier ways.
When Susan first appeared on the show at 37, tipping the scales at 607 lbs, she described her life as nothing short of miserable. Originally from West Texas, Susan has been living in Eddy, Texas ever since the show, and let me tell you, her story is one that had fans glued to their screens, cheering her on every step of the way.
I hurt all the time, so I don't get up much. With me having this big stomach,
It pulls on me so bad.
and it feels like my skin is on fire and it's just gonna melt.
Susan was grappling with much more than just her physical weight. The emotional baggage was just as heavy. Imagine feeling your family just drifting away, straining under the weight of expectations and frustrations. It's like being in your own personal family drama, but with much higher stakes. And then, everything changed for Susan when she decided to turn her life around with the help of the renowned Dr. Now.
I have to take baby steps because I'm afraid of falling. And if I fail, there's nothing anybody could do for me. I don't like looking at myself. So I don't look at myself in the mirror.
But let's hit pause and rewind back to Susan's childhood for a second. Growing up wasn't a walk in the park. Between constant teasing from her dad about her weight and some truly unimaginable trauma at the hands of people who were supposed to protect her, Susan's early life dealt her a really harsh hand. And just when you think it couldn't get tougher, a failed stomach stapling at 17, followed by the tragic death of someone in a car accident, left her without her main pillar of support. Heartbreaking, right? Losing your rock when you need it the most. It's a gut punch.
When Susan would get upset, I would go to the store. If she wanted ice cream or if she wanted candy, I'd go buy it for her. Food was her comfort. That was her way of escaping.
As I got older, I just started putting on weight. But it all got worse when I was 17.
Her dad was drunk.
Flash forward to her time on the show, where Dr. Now threw Susan a lifeline that could potentially save her life. The first major hurdle? Adhering to a strict low-carb, high-protein diet to qualify for gastric bypass surgery. Dr. Now had her on a tight leash with 1,200 calories a day. But here's where the plot thickens. When a nutritionist popped by to check on her, guess what they found? A fridge still packed with all the high-carb, high-calorie no-nos. Oh, Susan! What was going on?
And that's not love. I'm going to need Susan to do something drastic. She's going to have to lose a great amount of weight, need to get her infection under control. Her diet should consist of a zero carb, zero fat, and protein and some fiber. What I want to do is see you in a couple months and see what the diet is doing for you. You got to get in control on it. So it is very important for you to lose 100 pounds before we can do your surgery.
And just when you think she'd take this as a wake-up call, Susan's reaction was something out of a reality TV goldmine. During the junk food purge, she absolutely lost it, throwing a fit about wasting food and boldly declaring she'd just reorder everything tossed out. It was one of those jaw-dropping moments where you find yourself yelling at the screen, "No, Susan, don't do it!" It really makes you wonder. Change is only possible if you're truly ready to embrace it, right?
We're in my breakfast. We got eggs. I knew this process was going to be hard, but I didn't realize it was going to be this hard. I've given up a lot of things. It's normal to me. I want to eat what I crave, but I'm not giving in right now.
Despite these hiccups, Susan's determination began to shine through. Starting from a point where she could barely move around without getting winded, she, with Dr. Now's guidance, managed to shed enough pounds through disciplined diet and exercise to not only qualify for the surgery, but also undergo additional procedures like lymph node removal and excess skin removal. By the end of her journey, Susan had dropped around 400 lbs, a transformation that's nothing short of remarkable.
And I'm gonna put it at the top of the stair.
And using that as motivation to keep going.
She gets up there, it's ready for her.
Oh, okay.
And then I just stand behind her on the way up. Again, my stance is kind of wide and I'm just here at her hips in case she needs me.
The surgery was my second chance at life. And I'm not gonna let a setback like this take that from me. I'm gonna fight.
Let's dive into the story of Tracy, a 44-year-old from Ohio, who who really brings a whole new meaning to the phrase fighting for your life. When Tracy first stepped onto the scene, she was dealing with a whopping 606 pounds. And her situation was complicated by severe lymphedema, causing massive swelling and infections in her legs. Imagine carrying all that weight and then some.
I believe my life. The pain of waking up each day is excruciating. And it's my legs that hurt the most. Because most of my weight is in my lower body. And I don't know why. But that's where I gain.
Tracy's daily routine was a shocker. Right from the get-go, her day was all about food. Picture this. Breakfast was 3 plates piled high with the kind of junk food that makes you wonder if she'd ever seen a vegetable. No eggs, no greens, just an avalanche of calories. It's like the breakfast of champions if the game was, who can eat the most calories before noon? But honestly, it was this eating habit that was just the tip of the iceberg in Tracy's uphill battle with weight.
But my legs are so large and there's so many crevices. It's just difficult. And they're too heavy to even lift. Taking a shower totally wipes me out. I can only stay in there for about 10 minutes before I get so exhausted, I feel like I'll pass out. That's all I can do for the day.
Fed up with her condition, Tracy decided it was time for a change. So she and her husband Anthony took on what I'd call an epic road trip, driving 20 hours from northern Ohio to Houston just to get to Dr. Now. That's commitment, right? At this point, Tracy, a mom of 3, knew she needed all the support she could get. But let's just say the journey was anything but smooth. Between the emotional and physical stress, Tracy and Anthony had their fair share of arguments. It's tough, you know? Changing your whole life is no easy feat.
But they can get so sore that the pain is just excruciating. Ooh. This helped just moving them. But it's hurting again, so I'm gonna get them back in. Ah, damn!
I know, I heard that crack too.
This is a lot harder than I thought.
During her initial checkup, Tracy tipped the scales at over 606 pounds. Dr. Now, seeing the gravity of her situation, put her on a strict 1,200 calorie diet and recommended she start moving more. But old habits die hard. Once back home, Tracy immediately clashed with Anthony about her diet, especially when he refused to cave to her fast food cravings. She even blamed him for her struggles. Talk about a stressful household.
My diet is probably bad, even though we pretty much only eat 2 or 3 times a day. They're huge portions, and it's a lot of pasta and fattening stuff.
And who brings the food for you?
I usually have my husband do the grocery shopping. I give him a list, and he'll usually bring back what's on the list.
Okay, so that's going to change now.
But here's the twist. Despite the rocky start and even regaining half of the weight she initially lost, Tracy didn't throw in the towel. Her determination was something else. After 9 grueling months, she managed to shed nearly 99 pounds. And instead of going for traditional weight loss surgery, Dr. Now opted to remove about 201 pounds of excess skin from her legs. Can you imagine that? It's almost like losing another person.
Okay.
It may take Tracy many skin removal surgery to fully address her lymphedema, so it's going to be an extremely difficult process for her. And she has to start right now if she's going to have any chance to survive in the near future. Tracy, you need to stay on a high-protein diet and reduce your carbs significantly, or you won't get your cellulitis under control, and that could kill you anytime.